Happy Halloween from Bloodbath and beyond. Today we review Trick or Treat. Poison, drowning, claw or knife. So many ways to take a life.
Written and directed by Michael Dougherty, starring Anna Paquin, Quinn Lord, and Dylan Baker, Trick or Treat is a horror anthology that contains 5 interwoven stories that take place on Halloween in the same town. Each story is filled with twists and murder. So what do we like?
For an anthology film, this movie was seamless. Normally you have a wrapper that just kind of ties everything in, but in this one it didn't even feel like it. It literally had a consistent flow with each story. Like, they were interwoven, but it didn't seem like it was like separate shorts. It all felt like it was one film.
What helped all the stories kind of flow together was the fact that it took place in the same neighborhood. And key characters from each story actually live like on the same street, and they kind of interact with each other throughout the night, or you'll see them in the background of certain shots. And there are a ton of different elements that happen within each short that if you're looking for them, you can find them, and they're kind of like little Easter eggs. For example, wolves howling. You'll hear that in all of the different shorts because it's a parallel timeline.
And that's another thing that's interesting about this film is the timeline, because the film starts off at the end, then we kind of see how it progressed to that point, and in between it goes back and forth from what was going on in the beginning to what was happening in present time. And it wasn't confusing at all.
That's rare. A lot of people try to do the same kind of move in TV, in film, and it's always obnoxious. This film did it successfully. I hate reviewing anthologies as a group because it's nearly impossible to touch on everything. But this seemed like one consistent film that had just a few different story arcs. And that's an excellent trait to have for an anthology.
There is one thing in this movie that is most important that ties it all together, and that is Sam. I think he's adorable, and by far the cutest killer I've ever seen in my life.
And he's one of the few like recent modern horror slasher kind of guys that has become iconic almost overnight. Like, everybody's got a fucking plushie of Sam now. Sam is basically Sackboy from Little Big Planet that's gone on a murderous rampage with razor blades and candy bars and a sharp-ass sucker. And he just wants to spread the holiday cheer. The production value of this movie is extremely high as well. I really liked just the atmosphere that they were able to create. Because this is a Halloween movie, it makes you feel like it's Halloween. There's decorations on everything, there's Halloween candy, there's costumes all over the place. It just makes me really happy. Because like, it reminds me of walking out of my house as a child going trick-or-treating. Except my neighbors weren't getting murdered or burying people.
This is the Christmas movie of this season. Like, it really is. Like, if there's any movie to watch on Halloween, this is the one, because it brings it home. It gets you in the spirit. Like, after watching it, all I could think of was like, man, I want to go trick-or-treating again. I want to put costumes on. I want to get candy. I want to walk the streets.
Being that the cast was predominantly younger, I thought everybody did a pretty stellar job as far as the acting was concerned. It was also nice to have some comedy with some of our character choices as well. I think my favorite character was the principal, because I get it, and I'm sure that John gets it. Kids can be little bastards sometimes, and this is a principal that just kind of snaps one day, but he's got this like dark humor to him that's just great.
I want to carve the jack-o'-lantern out, but I need help with the eyes.
In a minute, Billy.
And can I go to the parade with you later?
No, Daddy has a date.
I like the atmosphere this film created because it generated a sense of fear. There was really good jump scares in this movie. It wasn't your typical over-the-top jump scares, and there was only a couple, but that was nice because they meant more. It was very impactful. And when these happened, you were legitimately just backing up out of your seat because you weren't seeing it coming. And they built it up in just such a good way that even if you're watching this again, it's still probably gonna catch you off guard.
I've seen this movie a ton of times, and today I almost had a heart attack because an egg got thrown out a window. Now let's move on to our dislikes.
This is a little nitpicky. I didn't like that they used the comic style lower thirds.
I dug that.
I get where they were coming from with it, especially relating it to like the comic and everything in that sense, but because we've watched so much of this movie and they didn't have it jumping back and forth between the timelines, it felt out of place just for that one story.
Well, I didn't have any issue with those. I do think that they could have used a couple more comic transitions throughout the film, maybe to try and separate some of the storylines, and perhaps they actually edited some out to keep the flow better. I don't know if I don't know. It's like the transitions would have helped, but I think it would have broken the flow of the story. So I'm a little in between on this one. This dislike is also nitpicky, but I pretty much say this in every movie. I wish there was a little bit more gore in the movie. I mean, there is gore, and when it's on screen, it looks great. I just wish that we had more of it. Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. Trick or Treat is a Halloween holiday staple. This is one of those movies that you should probably watch every single year because it's always enjoyable. I've seen it countless times and I love it. I love the way the 5 stories work together as almost one consistent story arc with just a bunch of twists all over the place. This film's shot extremely well and it really makes you get into the holiday spirit and scares the shit out of you at the same time. So I'm gonna give this 5 peeping Tommies, played by Quinn Lord, that's Sam, out of 5.
Trick or Treat is exactly what the title says. There's treats in this beautiful film, and there's tricks as well. It's filled with awesome moments, and it's a story like no other because it's an anthology that makes sense. You can watch it from beginning to end and fully understand it without any confusion. I want to say it's a feel-good movie, because I felt good afterwards, but it's the wrong kind of genre to have a feel-good moment. But I love it so much, and I think everyone should watch this on Halloween. No matter how many times you've seen it, always go and watch this movie. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this 5 chubby bunnies out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film. I know you guys love it, but if you haven't seen it for some reason, definitely check this out tomorrow, because that's the time to watch it. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay updated with everything Bloodbath and beyond. I know October is coming to a close, but you can come here for all of that Halloween goodness all year long.